children, I am Mrs. K. Ghosh and I will be taking English literature for classes 9th and 10th. The poem Television by Roald Dahl. Class 9th will study with me and class 10th will revise with me. Introduction of the poem. Roald Dahl's Television is a poem that represents television as an idiot box, makes people aware of the ill effects on children's mental growth and imagination. The poem, on the other hand, focuses on the goodness of reading books. The poem Television is taken from his collection Revolting Rhymes. It is a stinging satire on television. In this poem, Roald Dahl points out how TV crushes the creativity and spontaneity of children. The poem Television takes a comic look at a serious problem among young children today. The poem warns us about the dangers of excessive television watching. He tells us that the TV robs the mind of the power of imagination and creativity. Dahl, in his characteristics exaggerated style, warns that he will become zombies if we keep staring uninterrupted at the television for long hours. He advises us to read books, for this will enable us to discover deeper level of joy, find fulfillment in life, and open a whole new and exciting world for us. Television poem to be read out from the book. Television. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never let them near your television set. The poet is reminding the parents not to allow children to go near the set of television. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. The poet is calling the television as idiotic and saying don't install, don't put it in your house only. In almost every house we have been, we have watched them gazing at the screen. Who are these we? Have watched them? Them are the children. They loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. They sit and stare and stare and sit. That means no activity is there, only lazing around in front of the television until they have hypnotized by it, until they are absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Telesoaps and programs has been called ghastly junk. Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch. They leave their mothers free to cook their lunch so that they don't disturb them at all because they're glued to the television. And there is no physical activity in them, climbing the windowsill or kicking and punching and fighting. No physical exercise is there while they watch the television. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tots? Tots means your children. Now, the poet has written this portion of the poem in capital letters. These are what happens to the children when they watch the television, the negative aspect of the television. It rots the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. See, they're all written in capital letters. That means he's emphasizing on what problem children face when they watch television. It clogs and clutters up the mind. It makes a child so dull and blind. He can no longer understand a fantasy of fairyland. Means his imagination is to an end. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. He cannot think, he only sees. All right, you'll cry. All right, you'll say. But if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain our darling children? Now, parents also have a point. If we keep away the set, the TV set, what will the children do? How can we entertain them? Please explain. We will answer this by asking you what use the darling ones to do, how use they keep themselves contented before this monster was invented. The monster, the television. Now the poet is questioning the parents, what did you do when the monster was not there in your life? Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We'll say it very loud and slow. They used to read. They had read and read. Means before the television was invented, the entertainment was books, and children had the habit of reading. And read and read. And they proceed to read some more. Great Scots, Gadzooks, one half their lives were reading books. So only reading book was one entertainment, and they used to read a lot. Who are they? The children of that time before the TV was invented. The nursery shelves held books galore. Books cluttered up the nursery floor, and in the bedroom, by the bed, more books were waiting to be read. Means all over you would find in the room the books were lying around. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales, stories of dragons, gypsies, queens and whales, and treasure isles and distant shores. These are all the famous books with so many topics he has mentioned. Where smugglers rode with muffled oars, and pirates wearing purple pants, and sailing ships and elephants. These are description of some of the stories. And cannibals crouching around the pot, stirring away at something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? Good gracious, it's Penelope. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter with Mr. Todd the dirty rotter, and the squirrel Nutking Pigling Bland, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and just how the camel got his hump, and how the monkey lost his rump, and Mr. Toad, and bless my soul, there's Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Oh, books, what books they used to know. All these are description of the books which you read, and you have a world of imagination of your own. Those children living long ago. So please, oh please, we beg, we pray. Go, throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Then fill the shelves with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks, the screams and yell and bites and kicks, and children hitting you with the sticks. Fear not, because we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing else to do, means if the TV set is gone, what will the children do? They will only read books. They'll now begin to feel the need of having something to read. And once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy that fills their heart. They'll grow so keen interested. They'll wonder what they had ever seen in that ridiculous machine, that nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. And later each and every kid will have you more for what you did. Will love you more for what you did. Means children will really thank their parents if they keep away the TV sets. Now we continue with the poem. We'll see some highlights of the poem. The poem advises parents to never let their children watch television or not to install it at all. The bad effect of watching television: children loll and sleep around. They keep staring at TV screen and do not indulge in any productive work. The television hypnotizes the children and keeps them occupied. This proves convenient to the parents. The television is represented as a monster that kills children's imagination. and wrote their senses. The poet reminds the parents of children that in his days, children entertained themselves by reading books. The poet appears to be the parent. The poet appeals to the parents to replace their monstrous TV sets with bookshelves filled with lot of books. The children will object to it, but the poet is certain of the fact that sooner or later they will turn to book reading to pass their time. This journey of reading books that they will embark upon will be never ending and full of joy. The children will finally thank their parents for this deed. The poem in detail to be read from the workbook. Now you can open your workbooks. Children, remember the workbook may be different, the explanation may be different, but the matter is same. The first paragraph deals with lines 1 to 6. The poem, as a mouthpiece of number of people, begins by saying that most important thing they have known regarding children is that they should never be allowed to watch television. Moreover, a better solution to the problem would be not to install a television set in their homes in the first place. Lines 7 to 12. In these lines, the poet speaks as if he had undertaken a long research on the bad effects of watching television by visiting a large number of households in Britain. In almost every house, it was found that the children were lazing about all day and staring at the television screen without doing any productive work. The poet indulges in the bit of exaggeration that is amusing when he says that sometimes the children stare so hard that their eyeballs fall off, and he had seen a dozen eyeballs rolling about on the floor in one house. Lines 13 to 24 says, the children get so hypnotized by watching television that all they do is sit and stare at the television. Their mind gets filled with the junk that is being telecast on it. The only benefit that the television has is that it keeps the children occupied. The children don't fight and let their parents complete their household chores peacefully. At the same time, the poet questions the parents if they are aware of the bad effects television has on the children. Lines 25 to 33. These lines are written in capital letters to emphasize that watching too much television has negative impact on children. It not only clogs their mind and deteriorates their sense, but kills their imaginative and creative faculty. It makes them dull and restrict them from experiencing world's fantasies. The children only see because the television takes away their ability to think. Lines 34 to 37. The poet anticipates the parents' questions, asking him that even if they took the set away, with what type of entertainment they would give to their children to keep them occupied. Lines 38 to 41 says, in these lines, the poet asks the parents to recall how children had kept themselves entertained before television was invented. Lines 42 to 51, the poet reminds the parents that before the invention of television, children would read and only read. Books could be found everywhere, be it on the nursery shelves, nursery floor, in the bedroom, or by the children's bed. Lines 52 to 71. The poet gives a short list of books children used to read before. They used to read the books which were filled with the tales of treasure islands, voyage, smugglers, pirates, sailing ships, elephants and cannibals. The poet refers to a typical story that the children read in his days. The kids were used to read tales about Mr. Todd, Squirrel Nutking, Pigling Bland, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, written by Beatrix Potter. Potter's books are known for the use of animals as characters and colorful illustrations. Lines 72 to 79. The poem, by using the words such as please, beg, and pray, sincerely appeals to the parents to throw away their TV sets and replace them with bookshelves. Children would throw tantrums in protest, but not ignoring their children's protest, parents should fill the shelves with lots of books. Lines 80 to 85. These lines express the poet's belief that sooner or later the children would have nothing else to do. They would gradually feel the need to read books. These lines express the poet's creativity that once children should start reading, it will fill their hearts with joy. They themselves would wonder why they had even liked watching the repulsive television screen. Later, every child would love his parents even more for introducing him to books. Now here ends the detailed story explanation, and now we have the theme of the poem: television and idiot box. The second theme, death of imagination, and third, importance of reading books. So you can learn a lesson from this poem, that the importance of reading books. You should also learn to read books. The central idea of the poem is that television is an idiot box that clogs and freezes the mind of young children. The idiotic box is a transferred epithet in a sense that it is not the television set that is an idiot, but it produces dullness in mind of those who watch it. The poet advises the parents never to install the idiot thing, so as to save their children's thinking and imagination from decaying. Not only an idiot, but television for Dale is a monster that hypnotizes children and fills them with junk. The poet says that children, while watching television, do not engage themselves actively with the content as they do while reading. Such passivity makes them dull. Imagination is a creative faculty that helps you to form a picture in your mind of something that you have experienced or thought about. This ability to think of new ideas diminishes when a child passively engages in watching television. The use of capital letters and words such as rots, kills, clogs, clutters in line 25 to 33 put stress on what television does to one's imagination. Watching too much television destroys the children's ability to create or understand worlds of fantasy. Their mind gets clogged and cluttered. They become dull and thus loll and slop and lounge about. Their brain becomes soft and their thinking power rusts and freezes. The poem stresses the importance of inculcating reading as a habit. For Dale, it is only reading that can fill children with the true joy and happiness. Watching television for hours make them dull and passive. It kills their imagination. On the other hand, reading books will help them to travel to new and exciting world of dragons, gypsies, queens and whales. Dal remembers his days when television was not invented and children used to spend their time reading, a time when nursery floor and the side of their beds were filled only with books. It was a time when young children traveled through their books to an all-new adventurous world of animals with Mr. Todd, Squirrel Nutking, Pigling Bland characters in Beatrix Potter's work. Dal believes that it is parents' duty to inculcate the habit of reading in their children by introducing their children to the wonderful world of books. For Dal, it is so important to read that he advises all the parents to replace the TV sets installed in their homes with bookshelves filled with books. It is only reading that will fill children's hearts with joy, and for which later they will love their parents even more. Critical appreciation of the poem. You need to study this because to answer some questions in the reference to contest they ask. The poem intends to teach people about the negative impact television has on children. The poet asks parents to throw away the nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen and to install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. The television, according to the poet, is monstrous and idiotic, but books are filled with wondrous, fine, and fantastic tales. The tone of the poem is light, amusing, and entertaining, but not serious sermonizing. The poet uses an angry and sarcastic tone while talking about television, calling it shocking, ghastly junk, rots the sense, kills imagination, and clutters up the mind. In contrast, he employs an easy, delightful, and cheerful tone while talking about books. He calls the bookshelf lovely and associates joy and happiness with reading books. Now, here ends the poem. If you still have any problem in understanding, please ask. For assignment, write these notes in English Literature Register. There are 6 extracts reference to context in your workbook. Study the poem and do each extract, that is 1 extract each day. Each day means from today till the 6th day you'll complete your extracts. Every day do only 1 extract. Go through the notes, watch the video once again, read the notes and then do the extracts. Answer to extract 1 and the 4th subpart. This answer I am giving you because children might find it difficult. Last year also children had difficulty in answering these. So I am giving you the answer for this particular extract 1, 4th answer. Question is, explain the figure of speech used in the lines. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. The figure of speech used in the lines is hyperbole. Hyperbole is a device that uses exaggeration for emphasis or effect. This answer we will find under the style heading notes.